Welcome back for our final Science of the Year. I'm your host, Boston PhD. Joining me as always is Dr. Moon.
Howdy, go to sleep. I believe that's the joke I need to make here.
Yeah, we're doing if you're watching the video version, you can probably see it in our eyes. We're doing a super late night recording session here. Just a couple end of the year pickups here.
Also,
Um,
isn't that a book? Good night, Dr. Moon. That isn't that
Probably. If
where I'm
not, it
getting
is
that
now.
from?
Yeah. Um, we're here to pass judgment on Into the Pit, which I totally didn't write as Into the Breach earlier today. Into the Pit is our final game here of the year. Let's talk about it. Let's talk if we're going to keep playing it. Dr. Moon, how about you go first?
Honestly, I'll probably keep playing this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's small. It doesn't take much space on my hard drive.
True.
So, rules number one,
True.
important.
True.
Get that out the way. Or rather, it doesn't take much space on Moon's hard drive.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
okay. How far do we go with the bit is the question.
Right.
But it doesn't take much space. And to be honest, like now that the last week we had of it, whereas like no, I'm just gonna go slow because I was too tired to actually think about what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it helped so much. I was like, oh, maybe I can complete this. Maybe I can knock this thing completely into the grave.
By Jove, I have a shot here.
Yes, essentially. This
Yeah.
isn't like Gungeon or Isaac or any one of like 20 games we played where it's like, oh, you need to be like eyes on the ball, split
Right.
second
Neon
response times
Abyss,
to
Void Bastards, like all the...
BPM.
Yep. Yeah.
Like this is a game I need to be able to focus on. This is a game I can actually slow down and let my brain just relax and then just take my time with it.
Right.
That's the thing that stopped me going back to a lot of things like 20XX is like I don't have the mental wherewithal right now over the past two
Right.
years to go back to a fast-paced game. Whereas
Right.
this, it moves quick, but it behooves you when you're playing it to move slowly.
Right.
Stick that nose out. Just stick that nose out and back up a little bit and let the monsters come to you. Like
Yeah.
it's doable.
Yeah.
So I probably will keep playing it. And to be honest, I also want to see if there's any more variety to the spells and stuff like that because like
Mm.
it feels like every couple of runs I'm seeing one or I'm experimenting with one that I haven't used before.
Mm-hmm.
I still think my favorite is the quick long range projectiles and then just the spread one that looks like you're firing a Roman candle out of your hand.
Right.
Like those two are still my favorites.
Right.
But yeah, I'll probably come back to it. Like I've had a good time playing it. I probably will. And honestly, I need to actually beat games.
Right.
Damn you, Destiny.
Right. So let's pick up a
But
roguelike.
exactly.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah, I like Into the Pit a lot. It reminds me of a lot of the stuff I grew up playing, like Hexen and Heretic and Doom and Quake, but with that the kind of roguelike wrapper around it. You know, it moves at 200 miles an hour. Like you got the zoomies the whole time. But I like the idea of strapping spells to your different hands. You know, like Order of Ecclesia style.
Mhm.
I think it's a cool idea. I really like the layout of each dungeon where each floor you have the four different sets of doors and there's some interesting strategy and variety you can get where it's like, oh boy, do I want to do this blood chamber? Do I want to do this luck chamber? Like, which one do I want to... It's like, oh, I definitely know that one's going to be a disaster. I'm going to go do this other one that should be at least a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I always do the thing as well as like, okay, that is a health pool room. So I'm going to
Yes.
leave that choice till last
Yep.
just to see what I can get through the floor without needing to use.
Right. Yeah, you'll have an ace in your pocket there for a little bit. I think the only bad part about Into the Pit is just the time when it came for us. December is a production heavy time of the year for us, as we've been talking about for on pretty much every show.
Hmm.
So the amount of time that I have had to play this game is much less than I really wanted to. So I feel like I didn't I didn't dive as deep into this as I had wanted to. That's nothing against the game. That's just December every year. I'm not necessarily sure if I'll play it again, but I feel like I'll. This is one of those ones that I'd like to leave installed on my Xbox and just be like, oh yeah, Into the Pit, yeah, all right, yeah, I'll play that for an hour or so. Like I've got, yeah, all right, like stumbling across an old buddy.
Yeah.
I could see it kind of sitting in that spot. All right, let me open up our ranking here. We decided before we start recording that we're gonna start at around 25, which means we're gonna ask the question: is Into the Pit better than Downwell?
Oh, that was really good, dude.
Yeah, Downwell's really good. I think its double-edged sword is that it's a little one note. The simplicity is the strength, but it's also kind of the weakness.
Yeah, and also let's be real here. Downwell is hard, like
yeah,
real hard.
Yeah, Into the Pit is pretty hard, but I don't feel like it has like an 85-degree learning curve at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing that makes Into the Pit hard is it looks and controls like a game of yesteryear, but I think it's best to not play it that way. Like we talked about before. I think you don't play this like Doom. You don't play this like Quake. You play this slowly, and you'll do a lot easier in it, I think.
I'm sure after 200 hours, you're just like, oh, I want a speed upgrade, and you're just bouncing off the walls and like 180 no scoping, but that's not us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Into the Pit is better than Downwell.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Is Into the Pit better than Dungreed?
I'm gonna have to start like attaching screenshots to these so I can remember what each one is.
Yeah, hover over the name in our spreadsheet and the logo pops up, and you're like, "Oh, right, Dungreed, right."
Honestly, that might be the way to go.
That's probably our best bet.
Or a screenshot at least, like a screenshot of sort of a moment.
Right.
I like Dungreed. I do.
Yeah.
I had issues with the controls in Dungreed, if I remember correctly. Like that was
correct.
Very hard to play with the controller. I think it is better. I think overall, Dungreed is fine, but I immediately fell in love with the 2 art styles are very unique, but I fell in love with the world building of Into the Pit, because it's just hey, here's a village. Oh, by the way, here's a secret room around the corner, and by the way, here's all these people. Get you some villages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can very early on see all right, now this whole village is going to start unfolding kind of the moment I start scooping these people up. And for me, that's kind of the dangerous thing of I want to get all of them. Yeah. I agree with that. I think Into the Pit is better than Dungreed. It feels a lot more natural. If you've played any first-person shooters, picking up Into the Pit is oh, yeah, all right, okay, yeah, cool. I'm riding that bike again. This is a standard thing.
Yeah.
Is Into the Pit better than Ironcast? Talk about apples and oranges here.
Dude, this is apples and bananas. Come on.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, they are both classic game styles that we have enjoyed for years.
That's true.
I think it's better. I guess it's so hard. It's so hard, dude.
It's really rough because Ironcast is really, really good. Mm-hmm. I feel like Into the Pit... I wish I had played more of it because I feel like Into the Pit... I'm hoping that game would kind of unfold over time. Now you can combine 3 runes, and now you can... you're unlocking additional spells or stuff like that, but we didn't really get to that point.
Yeah, we didn't, which is unfortunate, to be honest.
I mean, you did with combining some runes and stuff, and that made kind of neat different dungeons, but...
it did, and it also terrifies me at the same time, because it's how many keys am I going to have here?
Can I combine 4 later and just make a nightmare?
Yeah, am I going to need to like memorize which ones I've combined, or am I going to have to
Right.
go through and one by one slot all the keys in, and then
Right.
read the thing at the bottom where it says, "Yeah, this is the thing that you've done. You've got
The
three
domain
villages
of the
here, so
shadow. It's like, oh, I already did that one.
yeah." And it's like 3 out of 3 villages saved. It's like I don't even know what that was, but okay.
Right. Yeah. Um, I don't know why this one is so hard.
I
Feel.
think it goes above it because I like Ironcast, but Ironcast is like Ironcast throws a lot of systems on systems on systems on systems.
Mm-hmm.
And until you've done like I will say it's the positive and the negative thing about Ironcast is until you've started and died a couple of times and you don't have that start and like increase that roguelikes give you,
Mm-hmm.
Ironcast is so difficult to get your head around because there's 15 different kinds of currencies it feels like, and then obviously
Right.
you've got to keep track of everything in the game itself. The profit into the pit here is, by comparison, it's relatively simple.
Yeah. You got two. You got two spells. Got a bunch of rooms. Go kill
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Go kill demons
And
or
like you
monsters.
can upgrade those runes that you can start with and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 6 different kinds of currency technically, but only 3 of them are permanent. So,
Sure. Yeah, I could agree with that going over Ironcast. Well, is Into the Pit better than the Swords of Ditto? Classic.
yes, it is.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. That's like my unbacked up knee jerk reaction is just like, yeah, of course it is. Why? Reasons. you know, like I
I think Swords of Ditto does things very, very well.
yeah,
It does, but it is super repetitive at first,
yeah,
and like it's charming, it's fun. It's kind of it's kind of diametrically opposite to Into the Pit because Into the Pit is dark and gritty and lightning hands.
and
Like
like and fast kind of brutal runs where Swords of Ditto's runs can be pretty lengthy even in the
45
beginning.
minutes to an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah, even like for your first couple of runs, most roguelikes, it's like, oh, I made it 5 minutes. All right, I'm getting better.
Uh-huh. Everything is terrible. Like there's a reason why like Dark Souls starts with a boss that you can't beat
Right,
generally.
right. All right, I can agree with
Mm.
that. Is Into the Pit better than Darkest Dungeon?
I laugh every time this comes up, so I'm going to leave the question with you, as we always leave the question with you.
Is it a better roguelike? Um, Man, this one's really tough. Uh, I mean, they're both pretty grim. Um,
Yes, yes, they are.
I think for me, it stops here.
Interesting.
I think I'm sort of looking at everything above that and thinking, like, yeah, I don't know if I just didn't get deeper enough into the pit. Wink. For me to
I
really.
hate you so much. It took all my effort to not swear right then,
I
by the
know. I
way.
appreciate it. I'm not sure if I just didn't get that deep into it or if I just clicked with a lot of other games above this. I mean, I obviously clicked with Darkest Dungeon because I played it a lot. No human being has ever beaten that game, so obviously we didn't do it. Um, but I feel like we got pretty deep into that.
Yeah, we did.
What's your? It sounds like you want Into the Pit to keep going. I could be convinced.
Honestly, like I do think it's a better roguelike than Darkest Dungeon.
Mm,
But at the same time, Darkest Dungeon has so many other positives that takes it above it. Like the art style of Darkest Dungeon is incredible. Like
oh, it's so
I
good.
mentioned, I mentioned the world building, and like the world building in Darkest Dungeon is second to almost none on this list. Like
Hmm.
there's very little that gets better world building than that. Oh, and honestly, it could probably stay here
Yeah.
because even being a roguelike, the part of the roguelike in Into the Pit is still relatively light.
Sure. Yeah.
It's collect these currencies throughout your runs, upgrade your ruins, collect the villages. Like it's
Hmm.
at the moment, at least. Who knows? Maybe there's some big game change near the
Oh, sure.
end where it suddenly becomes like 16 different thousand kinds of games. Like
Now it's an
maybe
RTS. It's a visual novel.
yeah,
It's just like, wait, what? Well, and
yeah,
also,
maybe it's a
the thing that I'm tickled about here is that it's sitting at number 22, which I was thinking, like, man, that's awfully low. And then thinking, no, our list is 41 games. You're doing pretty good if you're sitting at 22. You're not breaking the top 10, that's for sure. But 22 is a pretty good spot to be sitting at.
yeah. There's a reason we started that down there, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We definitely didn't start down. Wait, hold on. Where did we not start down at? Sunless Sea.
Yeah, Sunless Sea is 38. Yeah, so doing okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that means Into the Pit is our number 22, sitting right behind Darkest Dungeon. It's my pleasure to announce that we're off on vacation right now, but we're gonna have a special episode from us, the Council of Science, coming up next week. I think we'll be off.
No.
Yeah.
No. This
Maybe.
isn't from the Council of Science. This is from Boston Has a Problem.
Wow. Well, we'll talk about that here in the next episode. And I think we're off the week after that, so we're all gonna take a roguelike break, and we'll see you all next run. Bye.
Bye.